Good morning, Daniel Swartz here. I'd like to talk a little bit about using cattle for forest regeneration. Now, this goes completely against anything I've ever read or heard, but I have to go with what I have observed on my farm. I'm going to turn this around and show you what I'm working with here. Okay, so I bought 20 acres, five of which is mostly alderbrush swamp and brambles. Now I'm standing in a spot that has managed to grow a few scraggly hardwoods. We have a little ash, we have a cherry, we have a little this and that, but the larger portion of it is thorns. It's you got alderbrush, which grows an impenetrable mess, and then you have a little bit higher chunks that they got hazelnut brush, cherries, hawthorn, blackberries. You got the viney blackberries, the stalk blackberries, raspberries, gooseberries, buckthorn. I know I'm probably missing some. Anyways, that's what's growing here. But let's check out this. This is a drive that I cut. It's mostly a winter drive, but I fenced in along my drive, so I have about 1.5 acres down here that I've had the cattle in now for 3 summers in a row. I bring them down in here, they come in, and I like to leave them long enough to where they're really hungry and they go down in the swamps and they knock down brush and they make pathways because it opens things up. But on this higher ground like this, let me show you something that you don't find in the impenetrable mess. Maple seedling. One. Let's see over here. They're all over, and then as soon as I get out the video, I can't see. There's another one right there. 2, 3. They're all over. Here's one. 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, there's literally hundreds, maybe thousands in this 1.5 acres where the animals have highly impacted it. The hardwood trees are sprouting. Now, I've seen this happen before in an old hog lot on the farm I grew up on that I was managing. I had moved these hogs into a newer swampland. Then things went the way they went. I cut back on hogs. I took the fence down for that little acre, and now that little acre is just a beautiful young grove of hardwood trees. It's got black ash, cherry, elm, and maple mostly down in there, and a few little oak here and there. So what happened when I pulled the hogs off, these hardwood seedlings they grew up in a dense thicket of hardwoods, which I haven't really seen anywhere else on our property. It was just in that area where they grew in that density, and they grew nice and straight and tight together. And then the other areas of like brushy swampland had the occasional hardwood here and there poking above, and just impenetrable brush in between, where seedlings are few and far between. So I know for a fact forests need large herbivores to be healthy. You want a balance. So what most conservationists do, they see an area where, let's say, all the cattle congregated under that one tree, and they stomp flies and they sit there and they compact it and they kill that tree or make it sick, and then they see the seedlings all being eaten, and they're like, cattle are bad. You know, large herbivores are bad, let's remove them. When actually, it's only bad if they're in there 24/7. Will they do damage to certain areas? Yes, they will. But the overall impact is going to be beneficial. You put them in there, you let them chew things down, and I don't give it the extreme impact every single time I have them in here. Sometimes I just send them through, flash graze the grass off, and then maybe give a year or 2 of not heavy grazing, because that gives them seedlings a chance to get a little taller. Then you put the cattle in again and give it an intense grazing moment, because I do want to keep grass in here. I don't want every tree, but a lot of these seedlings are going to take off, and I could see how you could use cattle in a brush lot to pound down the brush, give it extreme impact, and then pull them back off to give those seedlings a chance. There's something that's triggering these seedlings. Is it the sunlight to the soil? I don't know what it is, but the impact on the ground is triggering these seedlings to, hey, grow now. And I know for a fact it's the high impact, because I've lived beside this property that I bought for 27 years, and this bottomland has always been an impenetrable mess that hasn't really increased in density in trees. You get the occasional tree that pops up above all the brush, but then it typically dies before, new bigger trees replace it. Or it might increase slightly in density, but not the way that I'm seeing it take off now. But you have other areas that are a little lower and it's just grass. But where the seeds have the right soil dryness, the right soil moisture and composition in the soil, when they get that impact, boom, they take off. This also happened in our yard when we were moving. Last year we were driving a path through our property consistently in the same path, bringing things into the property and placing them here and there. And on the path, right where the tire tracks had packed down the dirt and made grooves, 5 oak seedlings sprouted, only where we had been driving our van. So this is interesting to me. I don't pretend to understand it fully. I don't know the biology or why this is working. I just know that I believe what my eyes see and what I have experienced. And you will learn more on your farm by observing objectively and thinking than you will listening to 1,000 podcasts. The best thing that podcasts can do isn't to teach you a prescriptive method of farming, but teach you a different way to think and observe. So go out there on your own property and have fun if you're doing conservation or grazing your cattle, and just observe everything. And if somebody else tells you that this is not the way it is, but you see the opposite on your farm, well, maybe it ain't on his land, but it is on yours. So believe what your eyes tell you. Have a good day.